Time to get real for a minute. Ladies, you've been lied to. I'm going to give you the reason why men are being paid way more and why you should be paid more. Men's basketball is an extremely great product. And what I mean is, you have the best of the best. Not only do you have good floor games, you have above the rim complete mastery. Block shots, breathtaking dunks. It is insane, even at the high school level. I saw these kids playing the state championship in high school, California. My goodness. So, based on that, the men's game is at a different level. Now, the women's game is exciting. I've had more fun at the women's games this year than I had at a lot of the men's games. And I've been to both. I've been to college men's games. I've been to the NBA, Sacramento Kings versus Clippers. So I've been around. See, the men's game is like a porterhouse steak. One of the best cuts of steak you can buy. The women's game, the last few years have upgraded. It was always good, but it was London broil at first, delicious. But then with the infusion of talent and with the high profile, you guys have upgraded to T-bone steak. T-bone steak is expensive. T-bone steak is delicious, but it is not a porterhouse. I'm not a meat expert, but T-bone steak has the bone in the middle, but you can only eat from one side of a T-bone. Porterhouse, equal sides. You can have a whole meal. So that's the difference. And as far as the women's game, nowadays with the advent of the 30-foot three-point shot, you have girls like Caitlin Clark, Juju, Hidalgo, and Deja Fair shooting from like 30 feet. So that adds to the excitement. Because nowadays, it's not the dunks that get people in the seats. As far as the NBA, it's the 30-foot three-point shots. And so women have that. So thankfully, women can add a big aspect of the men's game that was lacking. Now you guys can shoot from 30, 35 feet. It's not just Caitlin Clark. Hell, Lucy Olson can shoot from there. And she's going to Iowa too, by the way. Lucy Olson. But in today's game, men's basketball has gone way down as far as popularity and as far as profile. Now, you want the men's game to still be on a high perch, because the men's game, if that's good, then all of basketball is doing well. The men's game is doing well. And overall, the men's game is still doing well. You still have guys making $200-300 million contracts. You still have the NBA Finals that gets millions of views and all that good stuff. However, because of the lack of talent in the lower ranks of basketball, as far as the men's, the college game is basically empty with talent. I can remember back in the days, you'll have like the 19th best team in the country. I'll give you an example. LSU, 1990. They had Shaquille O'Neal. They had Chris Jackson, the best player on the team. Yes, better than Shaq. Chris Jackson averaged 30 points a game. When Shaq came, 27. Didn't fall off at all. And then you had Stanley Roberts, who was a 10-year NBA veteran. You had those three guys on the same team. Future Hall of Famer, a guy who averaged 27, and a guy who eventually played 10 years in the NBA in college. Number one team, right? No. They were barely top 20. That's how huge the men's college game was. You had 3 seniors going to the NBA, a sophomore going, 2 juniors going, and then a freshman, and then an incoming class next year. Not even for a number 1 team, for the 15th team. You had NBA talent everywhere in college. Even as late as 1996, look at the rosters for the mid-90s basketball. It is insane the amount of NBA talent. And most of it domestic. Most of it born and bred in the USA. Now most of the talent is overseas. I think the first 2 or 3 picks are going to be overseas in the NBA draft. So now, the NBA, it is definitely, as far as a cut of meat, if you want to go that example again, it's definitely a porterhouse steak. Only difference is that porterhouse steak is served out of a backwoods restaurant. Great steak, delicious product, but you're in a backwoods restaurant. The floors are dirty. It kind of smells because it's a swamp. The waitress is rude. You got the cook back there picking his nose. It is great product, but the presentation is not that great with the NBA. They pissed off a lot of fans with all the woke stuff in 2020. Tickets are too expensive. The salaries are way too much. I'll get to that in a minute. But the men's game is greatly diminished. And also at the AAU and high school level, the games don't matter in AAU. It's all about a showcase. And so that diminishes the high school brand. Very few high school players are college ready, let alone NBA ready. You had the number 1 recruit out of high school go to USC. Wasn't even a 500 team. Usually a number 1 recruit in high school would be the number 1 pick in the NBA, especially if they play a year. Look at Zion Williamson. I can think of a lot of examples. Not in this case. Isaiah Collier will barely make the first round. He was a number 1 recruit. And I love his dad, but DeJuan Wagner Jr. has not lived up to the hype. He was number 1 recruit, or number 2 recruit. Has not lived up to the hype. He may not even be drafted this year. He may have to wait till next year. It was never like that. Even people like Kwame Brown, people are like, oh my God, he sucks, he's a bust. Even Kwame Brown, he would have been picked number 1 by all 30 of the NBA teams back in 2001. Yes, his career didn't turn out as good as it was supposed to be, but in high school, he was a man. If he would have went to college and went to Florida like he was supposed to, he would average 25 and 10 and been a first draft pick anyway. So even as far back as 20 years, the talent in high school and college was immense. So nowadays, with basically the farm system, the NCAA not turning out the NBA talent that it once did, the NBA is basically porterhouse steak in a backwoods restaurant. On the flip side, the women's game, yes, your T-bone steak, but with the added popularity, with the Caitlin Clark phenomenon, you're a T-bone steak served at a 5-star restaurant. Basketball, as far as the women's side, not the greatest product, not the greatest profile as far as being number 1 on Sports Center, being the first talked about topic on First Take and all that good stuff. However, your product is dwarfed by the fact that it's served at a 5-star restaurant. I'm talking about top of the line. You got Salt Bae in there serving it up, throwing the salt on it. You got DJ Khaled over there like, yo, what's up, man? And all that. You got celebrities everywhere. You got champagne bottles. That T-bone steak is served at the best restaurant in the middle of Manhattan. Top of the line. And this is why, and I hope it stays like this, women's high school basketball, just at that level, is insane, loaded with talent. And it showed in 2023 with all the big names coming out, Michaela Williams, Juju, Hidalgo, even Addie Brown. Addie Brown was like the 30th ranked player as a top 10 freshman. So you guys, just like the 90s NBA, you guys, like even a 12th ranked team like NC State or something like that, you guys have two players who are going to be WNBA players. You got a sophomore who's going to be there. You got a freshman who's going to like even a 12th or 15th ranked team in college. Look at Notre Dame. Notre Dame has like 4 or 5 future WNBA players on it. So the college women's game has loads of talent, and it's going to keep coming. I mean, you have Jazzy Davidson and you have Aaliyah Chavez coming out. I mean, you have Special K. You got Jersey Robinson and just all kinds of great players coming into the NCAA. Not to mention the ones that are already there. Cody McMahon. You got Juju coming out. Like, it is crazy, crazy talent in the women's game. So the fact that you have so much talent, that's going to elevate the game even further. People think it's going to stop at Caitlin Clark. No, it is not. Wait till they see Aaliyah Chavez next year. She's going to be pulling from 32. And also, she's bigger and stronger than Caitlin. So, I mean, who knows what's going to happen? Juju may break the record, for God's sake. Who knows? But the women's game has hit a pinnacle, and I think it will level off a little bit, but not enough to sink it. It's going to continue to grow. You're going to have stars on Caitlin Clark's level in the next few years. And believe me, the influx of talent will not stop. I'm looking at 8-year-old, 9-year-old girls like doing moves that pros do. I'm looking at a 13-year-old, 6'5" center. Like it is crazy what's going on in the women's game. So the talent is there, and the talent is the most important thing. The fame will catch up. The fame will catch up. But what's most important is you have the talent. You have the influx of talent, because Caitlin Clark left college. It's still going to be big next year. You're not going to draw 24 million to the championship game, but the people who came for Caitlin Clark will stay for Juju. Now, I might have to break this up in 2 parts. Now let's get to the salaries. First of all, the NBA salary is highly, highly inflated. People think, oh my God, these players are making hundreds of millions of dollars. They must be bringing in hundreds of millions. The biggest franchise, the LA Lakers, they are barely turning a profit. Well, Duran, they made about $150 million in profit last year. The franchise is worth, as far as the open market, about $6 billion. Let me ask you a question, and I'll scale this down. If you had a $6 million business, right? If you had a $6 million business and only brought in $150,000 a year, would that be super successful? I don't think so. That's barely enough to cover salaries for everybody. Think about it. The salary cap is about, I believe, about $150 million for the NBA. Your profit is $150 million with the best franchise. Do you really think that the Lakers are making money hand over fist with $150 million after they pay out $150 million in NBA salaries alone? NBA salaries alone. Forget about the coaching staff. Forget about all the employees that work at the arena. Forget about the advertisers. Forget about all that stuff. Just the salaries alone, they eat that up. Then what? The NBA is one big art piece. The reason why it's worth $6 billion, because a billionaire will pay $6 billion. They won't pay $6 billion because they're going to get $6 billion back in profit. They pay $6 billion for one thing. They can go to one of their yacht parties, one of their retreats in the Hamptons, and you have a billionaire who owns like Tyson Foods. You have another billionaire who's in textiles or in clothing or something boring like that. And then you have a billionaire who owns the Lakers and say, yo, hey man, we just had LeBron out there scoring 40 points. Yeah, I was right in the skybox. You guys should come hang out with me in the Crypto Center skybox. We can watch some LeBron. That billionaire is the alpha of all the billionaires at that retreat. When he says he owns the Lakers or the Knicks or any popular franchise like that. So that is the reason why the value is so huge. It's not because it turns billions of dollars in profit. It's because that billionaire can say, I own an NBA team. You guys are in construction, you guys are in automotive or textiles, or you sell the Post-it notes or whatever. But I got $1 billion and I own the Lakers. That is why these franchises are worth so much. It's strictly because of clout. So when you talk about the NBA salaries, if you want to go pure profit for each of these teams, the Laker players, they'll probably get about maybe 7 to 8 million if you want to go by pure profit. In other words, we made this much money as the Lakers, and so we deserve this much money in return. LeBron will probably he's LeBron James. He has advertisers and he has all these endorsements. So LeBron's going to make his 50, 60 million, no problem. He's going to make that. But not for basketball. It's going to be mostly because of people who want to be on the LeBron James train. They want to be part of the LeBron brand. But Austin Reeves or Anthony Davis, these are very good players, great players. But at the same time, they don't draw interest. You're not going to flock the Crypto Center to go see Anthony Davis. You won't. Nobody's like, hey man, we gotta see AD tonight. Great player, but he's not gonna put butts in the seats. If he played for Charlotte, that thing would be half full. And I love Anthony Davis. He's one of the best 7 players in the NBA. But the draw comes from the stars. So the other 15 NBA players in the team, if you want to be real, let's say you get the average NBA franchise with an average star, let's say like a Jimmy Butler, and you say, okay, Jimmy Butler, let's put him in not an average city, but just an average grossing city. Let's put Jimmy Butler. I said Jimmy Walker. Good times. Dynamite. But let's put Jimmy Butler in Milwaukee, and let's say that the average profit for the Bucks is maybe $70 million. That's what the average NBA team will generate, about $70 million a year. So your salary cap would be about maybe 40, 50 million at best. That means that the best player on an average team would maybe make about 7 to 10 million. These $20, $30, $40 million contracts are BS. It's all about clout. So when I hear that, well, hey, the WNBA doesn't draw a profit at all. They generate 70 million in revenue, but they don't generate any profit. Yeah, that's true. WNBA doesn't generate any profit. But the NBA barely makes profit, especially enough to pay $150 million in salary per team. They don't make that much. So when you talk about the WNBA salaries already being inflated at $70,000, that's ridiculous. If you want to go pure profit, then yeah, of course, the WNBA should be making that much. But you have to do it on the other side too. Can't be hypocrites. If you're going to say the WNBA doesn't generate profits, so their salary should be minimal, you have to say that about the NBA too. There is no way a guy off the bench should be making $25 million. There is no way that and I love Dame Lillard, but Dame Lillard in Portland, for God's sake, should have gotten a $65 million contract per year. No way. No way. The only reason why that happens, again, these NBA teams are art pieces. It's not the actual thing that's making money. It's what would you pay for that thing? And of course, these billionaires will pay billions of dollars for an NBA franchise because it's popular. That's the only reason why. But again, since people go by profit for the WNBA, if you go by pure profit for the NBA, just pure profit, how much do you generate NBA? Oh, well, we generate about $110 million this year. Okay, well, the salary cap is 70, and your highest paid player, you're making $35 million now. Put that down to 15. Yes. Last thing, TV deals. Well, Duran, you're wrong, man. What about the TV deals? They're worth billions of dollars. Those TV deals are art pieces too. Do you know what the TV deal for NBC was back in '98 when the NBA Finals drew 35 million viewers? I almost said dollars. 35 million viewers, the most watched NBA game in history. The TV deal was a few hundred million. Nowadays, you have billion with the B, multi-billion dollar TV deals. You had, I believe, Golden State versus the Suns or Denver versus Lakers, something like that. They barely drew 2-3 million people. Caitlin Clark outdrew the NBA several times. And again, though the TV deals nowadays are 10-20 times a TV deal back in the 90s. Couldn't outdraw Caitlin Clark. So again, those TV deals are highly inflated. Why are the TV deals highly inflated? Easy. Because now these oligarchs, these rich folks, can spread their message via the NBA. If they want to talk about the LGBTQ, hey, NBA, Black Lives Matter, hey, NBA, talk about this. Hey, you want to spread the vaccine stuff? Hey, NBA, sell our vaccine. That's why those salaries are huge. It's for influence, selling vaccines, selling LGBTQ, Black Lives Matter, whatever message you're trying to send, Joe Biden for president, whatever message you guys are sending, and you're the big dog when you go to one of these rich guy functions or meetings, wherever you call it, retreats at the Hamptons. You're the big dog. You own the Lakers. You own the Celtics, right? I'm going to give you guys some bonus material, and I'll try to keep this as short as I can. But a few years ago, and this was maybe, I'm trying to think what year it was. It was 1995. Because I'm going to get into strikes now. Because I believe that the WNBA should strike. They should say, hey, we're shutting down the season. Get a collective front. Say, hey, we're shutting down the season unless we get higher pay. Because trust me, if the WNBA shuts down the season, I'm not sure if the fans will fight for the WNBA, but the LGBTQ, they will fight for the WNBA. They will fight for it like cats and dogs to keep the WNBA around. So when it comes to influence, the LGBTQ is a huge proponent for the WNBA. So the second these ladies shut it down, they will have their salaries doubled or tripled in about a month. You can virtually guarantee that. Because Strikes, they do work. Lockouts do work. In 1995, and you got to remember, you have to have a little leverage when you strike, when you do a strike. And right now, the WNBA has leverage. They have Caitlin Clark and her fame. That's a huge thing, in addition to LGBTQ. And also, when the NBA went on strike, this was 1995, they had the ultimate chess piece, Michael Jordan's comeback. Michael Jordan's comeback was the biggest thing in sports. He played a few games to end the regular season in 1995, played in the playoffs. He got ousted in the playoffs by the Orlando Magic. So Jordan was on the comeback trail. Hey, man, we got to see Mike come with it next year. So that was a huge selling point. So when the players went to the table for the lockout, they had the ultimate leverage. We got Michael Jordan's comeback. And so they locked out for a few months in the offseason, boom. And they got better salaries and everything worked out. Now, flip side, in 1998, during Jordan's retirement, there was another lockout. But it wasn't a player lockout, it was an owner's lockout. The owners locked out the players. In other words, Michael Jordan's gone. This league's popularity is going to go way down. So we got to renegotiate. So the owners locked the players out in 1998 because Michael Jordan retired. So now the NBA players had to feel the wrath of a lockout because they didn't have any leverage. So, ladies, quit fighting over the internet. Quit pissing off the fans. Quit alienating the people who support you. If you really, really want higher salaries, lock out. Lock out tomorrow. Lock out tomorrow. It'll take about a month. And around June 1st, the WNBA will be back with the limited schedule. You guys' average salary will be up from about $120,000 to about $250,000. And then we can all live in peace and harmony. All right, guys, this is Duran Williams. Check me out on Women's BB Rankings. Give me some likes, some follows, all that good stuff, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.